I would first like to recognize my cabinet colleagues, in particular our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris. I'd also want to recognize all the way from Nevis, the Sheriff, Honorable Mark Brantley. Also, I would recognize Honorable Eugene Hamilton and Senator Wendy Phipps Seattle. I want to recognize our Cabinet Secretary and Permanent Secretary, Osbert D'Souza, and all other public servants who are here at this government-run town hall this evening. I've not forgotten him. Of course, the man of the hour, the Honorable Ian Patches-Libard, representative from East Barclay. Good evening to all fellow citizens. To this, our third in our series of town hall meetings here at the Newtown Community Center. And those who are viewing over ZZ TV, on the internet, or by radio, welcome to all of you. Last week at Keyon, at our second meeting, I began a discussion in relation to the electoral process here in St. Kitts and Nevis. This is the process, of course, by which our people select representatives to the National Assembly to make laws. That is the rules by which we live. The representative who commands the majority of representatives in the Parliament, in the Assembly, of the elected members, becomes our Prime Minister. And he in turn would select and form a cabinet from among the majority of the elected members. We form a cabinet, an executive, and this is what most of us refer to as the government. This is our democracy. The process, therefore, by which representatives are elected by the people, is a very critical one in which we have to do good governance with. There must be a level playing field. The process itself must be fair. There must be no shenanigans, no tomfoolery. But our system has had problems. You'll recall that it was just on the 16th of January, 2 years ago, that when the Constituency Boundaries Commission would have prepared a report on changing boundaries to elect representatives, that this report was rushed to the Parliament and it was supposedly passed in a very abominable way. We all saw it play out where Team Unity had to rush to the Parliament and put an injunction on that boundaries report to change the existing boundaries to new boundaries. That injunction still is in place today. So that today, what we have are boundaries still representing the old boundaries. But that injunction is a limited one. It states basically that until a case brought by Team Unity in the courts is adjudicated, is debated on, deliberated by a judge, and we believe struck down so that is no more, that the old boundaries are still in place. But if, on the other hand, we were to withdraw this case, new boundaries will come into place. We believe the old boundaries should be in place to allow a newly constituted Constituency Boundaries Commission to be formed and to bring in proper electoral boundaries. We expect that during the course of this year, shortly, that this case will be heard by the High Court to deal with this report that we believe was a bad one. So, in terms of our good governance agenda, in terms of our electoral process, one of the first issues that our people must be aware of is that we require boundary changes, but they must be done properly and the proper manner. And until the boundaries report that is before the court is struck down, we will then begin to proceed on a boundaries commission to withdraw the boundaries in St. Kitts and in Nevis in a way that is fair, that is equitable, in which the people can have full confidence in. And that would be one of my first points. The second point I want to raise this evening for discussion with our people has to do with a second issue in the electoral process, and that is voter registration. Voter registration has been a vexing problem in our country for a number of years. And over the years, the last 20 years, a little bit more than 20, maybe 22 years, the people have come to understand that a number of our voters register to vote where they do not live. It is a wide problem, one that is vexing. People who live in labor strongholds had been moved to register and registered in areas where the Labour Party felt they were not confident. In Central Bastia, in East Bastia, in Old Road, and in Constituency number 8. This problem still persists today. And although every year on January 31st, the Electoral Office publishes a voters register in which all of the voters in St. Kitts and Nevis are published for everybody to see. For you and agents of any political party to object to somebody who is wrongly registered, out of place, not in the right ways, to have that deliberated, judged by a registration officer, this problem still exists. And we can, over time, work to correct this, but it's a very slow and cumbersome process. For instance, when on the 31st of January last week, this voters register was published, only 10 days are allowed for agents of political parties to object to individuals who are wrongly registered to vote. Only 10 days. And where we believe that a number of people will be captured, will be caught in that objection process, this slow, long, and cumbersome. And we know we won't get anybody this year. And so, last week, I made the point that this team unity government will be going to Parliament soon in this year to initiate the process to start to do an enumeration. We will go from house to house, door to door, and we will register, verify the registration of our voters where they live. If you live on Pans Pasture in Newtown, you should register there. And we will make sure through the enumeration process that this would be done. This then are some of the issues when it comes to voter registration, more importantly, to the concept of good governance, to the concept, as it was, that our country needs to be a full-fledged democracy that can be proud that our electoral processes can stand scrutiny of anyone, anywhere in the world. I want quickly to speak a bit more of good governance. And as Attorney General, my responsibilities extend to the management of the courts in our system. Government has as its foundation the Parliament, the executive, and our court system. And in our court system, we have found over time that as the litigation, the cases have expanded and grown and expanded, that we have had a backlog. The whole process has slowed down. And so, over the next few weeks, we will be moving to open a new High Court chamber at the Bastille High Court Judicial Complex. This would mean a second High Court in Bastille, with a third one in Nevis, of course, that allows for the first time for us to have 2 judges resident here in Bastille to reduce the backlog of cases, to speed up the process by which litigants can face each other, where you have to be tried whether on a criminal charge and you may be remanded, that the time shall be reduced by which people remain in jail before they can be tried if they are not on bail. Those who have civil matters, so that you may have disputes, whether they're going to be over land, whether they're going to be family disputes, divorce, or whatever it is, that this backlog will be reduced significantly as we now move to improve the court system. We will also be working, not just at the High Court level, but at the Magistrates Court level, to bring in a third chamber here in Bastille. Currently, there are 2 magistrates' chambers in Bastille. There's one that sits in Dieppe, but we will now have a third magistrates' court chamber in Bastille that will also help us to reduce the backlog of cases that are there. Another point of good governance, I want for us to account to the people. And this happens to be the office of the Ombudsman. We don't hear about it, but this is a law that has been passed in our country that appoints someone who will act as a referee for ordinary citizens. When you have a problem, an issue, the Ombudsman should act to see that your government officers respond to your queries, your complaints. This Ombudsman that we have had for some time now is a matter for us a great concern, and we will be going to Parliament very shortly to improve or to make sure that this Ombudsman is accountable to the people, whether through the Governor General, whether through the Parliament or whatever, to be able to ensure that the work in terms of refereeing what the government does, another form of accountability in terms of our good governance, that this will be coming to the floor shortly in the Parliament. I want to mention one last issue here for now on the question of governance, good governance, and that also happens to do with the management of the court system, of the registry. We have had this large backlog of cases. We have had a lot of work in terms of the registry, and this has also slowed down the process, and in particular one area, and that has in the way the time taken to produce titles for land, certificates of title, deeds. People need to be able to have a certain amount of certainty that when you purchase land and you want to get your title, whether to go to the bank to raise funds to build your home or whatever it is, when you buy property, that there is, as it was, the title is produced in a timely fashion. The registry at this point has a lot of work to do, too much. And so we'll be moving shortly to separate the land registry from the High Court registry. And we expect that to be done this year. Finally, I want to just quickly report on the issue of technology that also falls under my purview. And as a matter of good governance, to assist the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Next week, as we celebrate our 2nd anniversary in government, we will be launching 5 apps, free of cost, for your cell phone. There will be very exciting apps. The first app that we will be launching has to do with consumer affairs. Every month, the Consumer Department in the Ministry of Trade goes to every supermarket in St. Kitts and Nevis and collects data as to prices on different brands of foodstuffs and groceries, a food basket. This app that can be downloaded from the Google Store, Apple, and the Apple pages, this app for free would allow you at home to do your shopping ahead of time. You can compare prices. That's one app that will be launched. A second app that will be launched has to do with Crime Stoppers. We have been having a lot of problems in terms of crime. People see things. And we are working with the police so that you, through your cell phone, should be able to see something going wrong on the street or anywhere and quickly take a snapshot and send it to the police. You can do so anonymously, or if you wish to let the person know. But in this way, you will not be exposing yourself, but you can inform the police and assist in helping us to reduce crime. It's a very important app as we need issues in terms of national security. Thirdly, another app will be from the St. Kitts Nevis National Information Service, GINIS, the GIS, the Government Information Service, that will allow us as citizens to get on our cell phones news from the government every day, all day, at a touch on your smartphones. And finally, there were two others. One would be an event directory planner to let you know events that are happening, whether it's at Carnival, music festival, or whatever events are happening within the government purview. These will be launched on an event planner that will deal with tourism, youth, culture, sports, and so on. And finally, we would have a directory of government services. This is our first step towards a fuller library of apps that would allow you as a citizen to receive information from the government, and we will be, as the year goes on, be also introducing some that allows you as well to participate, to talk to the government, to inform us, and this is one of our e-citizen services that we'll be doing as part of our good governance agenda as this year proceeds.